I think one more character that came from a real life person, and this is something I discovered over time, not when I'd seen the movie, is Devdi, and apparently that's you. Obsessive in love, experimenting with drugs, and a modern Devdas in your own right, at least for the screen. Would that be correct?
Well, the reason why I wanted to contemporize the book was exactly that. I read the book and I was like, why do they make such a big deal out of this guy? He's a more chauvinistic character, and then there's such a it's such a male patriarchal view of a man and women relationship, where the women are just fawning over him. No matter what he does, he can never be wrong.
It's a fantasy, right? And it's coming from the 1800s.
Like, there's something wrong here. So I was like, let's empower the women. Let's call out his chauvinism. Let me see if I can still get him empathy. As far as the alcohol, I mean, of course, he's an alcoholic in that. And I was like, I grew up in an environment now in the modern age where drugs and alcohol both, it's all available. So, you know, this is a tale that can be said even today. Chauvinism exists even today. Patriarchy exists even today. But what didn't exist back then was giving women a much stronger role. And my Chanda character was far stronger than what eventually got made into the movie, because she was an East European pole dancing escort who's fine the way she was. She was making great money and she's traveling the world. She takes pity on him, but she doesn't get as vulnerable as he does, because it was important for me for having both the women not playing to his bullshit. But obviously it worked for Anurag, where she was as vulnerable as he was, and she was a victim too. For me, he was the only victim. The women only grew stronger from
Did you know someone like that?
The escort? Did I know someone like that? I'm not going to tell you.
I can still ask, right?
Can ask. I know all sorts of people, let's just put it that way. Sure, I know.
Including yourself?
Yeah, I know a few escorts in my life.
We've obviously touched upon Anurag Kashyap's film, that's Devdi, huge commercial success. We've touched upon Dibakar's film, and these are like early works of these two directors, right? I'm interested to know, like, what do you think of how they turned out to be storytellers thereafter, the trajectory in their careers?
I honestly haven't seen anything of Anurag's after that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Gangs of Wasseypur, maybe?
No, I don't think I saw any of his work after that.
Okay.
And with Dibakar, I liked Love, Sex or Dhoka. I felt there was something missing, no doubt. I mean, we don't need to get into that, because you still saw the spark of a genius mind there. But then the Byomkesh was not necessarily like it. I feel like with a lot of these guys, the pressures of conforming are so great. There's a lot of insecurity. And then more money comes in, more demands come in. And it's very hard to retain your original sort of drive or personality that brought you to this place to begin with. You know, so I think a lot of that has happened with me too, I suppose, in a way. But I mean, I didn't put myself out there to be that vulnerable, because I knew, you know, unless I don't have my group around me, I'm just going to end up conforming. So I just won't work.
But I'm surprised you've not seen any of Anurag's films after Dave. Did you guys like have a fallout or something? Like stop talking to each other?
He went in public and said a lot of lies about me. So one lie I'll give you, for example, he said that I demanded a hotel room.
A 5-star hotel room?
Yeah. He actually came up to me and said, listen, you can't stay with us. You're a Diol. So I'm going to put you up in a hotel room. He literally told me that. I'm saying this on camera. And what he told the press was I demanded it. So there was clearly a lot going on, which was not professional. And I saw a person who was a really close friend at the time. And I was like, whoa, okay, fine. I mean, that time I myself was reactive because I wasn't understanding what was going on. And I was reactive. And I was very easily manipulated at that time. So now when I look back, I'm like, oh, good one. Like, I see you. Heart on sleeve and all is all very great, but you get taken advantage of. You're reactive. So he was a good lesson for me to learn. So then I just avoided, because I don't need toxic people in my life. You know, life's too short and there's so much more to explore. But he's definitely a liar. He's definitely a toxic person. And I would warn people of him.
Would that be an exception from the early part of your career? I mean, you're also one of those directors, and I'm sure you hear this very often. Every profile of yours would say that, is someone who's worked with the most number of first-time directors.
My first 5 were all debuts.
Right. So let's go with them. Like there's Imtiaz Ali, of course.
That was the debut, yeah.
Reema Kagdi. These two, like, had amazing careers thereafter as well.
Yeah, Navdeep was also in the first five, yeah.
Maroma. What do you think of their trajectory, like how their careers went in terms of storytellers? Let's start with Imtiaz.
Why am I commenting on? Is this what the show is about?
No, it isn't. It isn't. I'll tell you why. Because these directors built their careers on the basis of their first film that was with you. And the fact is, Abhay, they did not work with you thereafter.
Yeah, and Anurag used that to say this is why he directors. I know a lot of actors who don't want to work with him. So I was like, yeah, I don't know if that what you mean you're coming from. Like, I'm not part. Like I said, there's a lot of pressures to conform. There's a lot of pressure when there's a lot more money behind you. I did get this feeling like, oh, you know, you're not big enough, which is ironic because when I worked with them, neither were they.
Right.
So you have to kind of either believe in someone and believe in a vision, even if it goes against the norm, or you can say that I'll keep my vision, but I will take bigger powers because I'll get more money, I suppose. I was taking a lot of it on myself, and I know I made mistakes, but it's like, no, I think, you know, like the directors I meet today are far more secure in who they are, and they're more willing to put themselves out there and take a chance. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I can't answer for them.
Right,
like I'm searching for answers to give you, and I hate making it about me when it's about somebody else.
Right. No, I mean, of course, this is not directed at any individual.
Yeah.
But do you think at some level, and this might well be true for all mainstream industries, or it could well be true for life in general, that there is an element of someone being young and rebellious, but you're really looking to get to that table. And once you do, you just become the same person. Do you think that happens?
Well, I was definitely young and rebellious, and I wore that on my sleeve. I guess that I didn't have the maturity to balance that rebellion with a little bit of diplomacy. I mean, I say it now, I was a rebel and now I'm a diplomat because rebellion got me this far, and now if I still want results and a rebellion is not getting it for me, then diplomacy would be my next. Right. I guess, so I can only speak for myself. I was no way a diplomat. And I was also speaking truth to power a lot. You know, I was calling out musician rights and producerial rights. I was calling out people for endorsing fairness creams, blah, blah, blah. So no one likes the one solo guy who's trying to play conscience in the industry.
You said this somewhere, something to the effect of no one likes a critic. They'll admire you, but they won't give you work.
Yeah.
Is that true? Is that something you faced?
I mean, I'm speaking from experience. Here's the thing, though. Like, these are things that I genuinely don't think of. Like, I'm talking to you about it now.
Because I'm asking you.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't like talking about them, not because I'm hiding anything, but because it's not what I care to read about, because there's so much of this has been written about and spoken about, and I've spoken about it, and I've been asked about it. I get asked about it over and over again. So that I got tired. It's like, and also I'm in that space in my life right now where I don't look at the past. Like when Anurag said that crap about me in public, he sent me apology messages.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he did. Of course, that's Anurag does that all the time. And he was like, if you want to shout at me, scream at me. And I was like, I don't care. It's been 12 years. Like, you don't feature in my thoughts. And even now, get over it. How much of this are you going to do? So, and I would never take him by name and say the things I said had he not gone public.
Right. You're responding to
a statement
made in
public. So I can use him
Right.
as example because he obviously felt free with me. And so I don't anymore look at those things. He was really pushing me to shout at him and scream at him on those messages of apologies. And I was like, yeah, I forgive you. He said, just forgive me because I've had a bad day. I said, you're forgiven. And so that's how I feel about everything. Everything else that you're asking me. It's like, yeah, okay, rebel, this, that, heart on sleeve, this, that, all right. It's a great journey for me. I'm really happy that I did what I did because you only learn from your mistakes.
Right.
I never had a personal agenda. It was far bigger than just me. So I know that's why when you said people respect you, they may not work with you, but they'll respect you. That respect counts for a lot. And they'll come around and work with you, especially if you learn your diplomacy a little bit better, because you make life easier for them as well. It is a tough industry, and it only serves your ego to rebel so far, where it's just you being the lone voice. Then it's like if it's not about you, then you find a different tack, because you have to, no man is an island, as they say. You have to engage the other people around you as well, and also learn from them, see how they've survived, how did they balance things out, because not everybody's a hypocrite. You know, it may seem like that to you because you're on one extreme.
Right. And a lot of bitter people say that. They just think that someone who's doing well must have done something wrong, but that's not always the case.
No,
right?
we do what we have to do, and if what you do is not affecting you in a negative manner or somebody else, then who cares what other people have to say? Ultimately, we do want success. We do want to be seen and heard, and if people are doing what it takes, that's their life. And I'm not bitter about that now.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.